Hey Bears fans, welcome back to another episode full of news, updates, and energy surrounding our Chicago Bears. The season has been a roller coaster, but there's still a lot happening behind the scenes, from roster moves to injury updates to what's really going on with the special teams unit. So grab your coffee, sit back, and let's break this all down together because it's going to be an interesting one. First things first, let's talk about some roster activity that's flying under the radar, but could actually make a difference. E&O has been activated off the short-term injured reserve list, and honestly, I think this is one of those subtle moves that could end up helping the Bears more than people realize. Carl Jones was released to make room, but from what's being reported, there's a good chance he'll be brought back to the practice squad soon. That's usually what happens when the front office wants to keep a guy close, but just needs to make some short-term adjustments. Jones has been solid on special teams this year, and between him and DeMarco Jackson, I think it came down to a tight call. Now, when it comes to special teams, there's no sugarcoating it. It's been rough. Painfully rough. The coverage has been inconsistent. The return game has been disappointing, and mistakes have piled up week after week. That's where bringing back E&O makes sense because he was originally signed for exactly that reason, to contribute on special teams. He's a guy who knows his role, plays fast, and isn't afraid to get physical. The hope here is that his presence can bring a bit of stability to a unit that desperately needs it. When your special teams are constantly losing the field position battle, it adds pressure to every other part of your game. And lately, it feels like the Bears have been starting every drive backed up near their own goal line while opponents are crossing midfield after every kickoff. That's not sustainable, and it's one of those silent killers in football that doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but absolutely affects wins and losses. Speaking of things affecting the Bears lately, let's go over the injury front, because there's quite a bit to unpack there. TJ Edwards didn't practice for the second day in a row with a hand and hamstring issue. The hamstring part is what worries me most because that's what sidelined him earlier this season, and it's possible he aggravated it again. He and Tremaine Edmonds have really started to develop strong chemistry at linebacker, and losing him would definitely hurt the defense's rhythm. Josh Blackwell is still in concussion protocol, so don't expect to see him on the field this Sunday either. And then there's Dom Robinson, who's still battling that high ankle sprain and will likely miss at least another week, possibly two. The Bears to get a few limited participants back, which is always encouraging. Kevin Byard, who didn't practice the day before, was limited this time, meaning he's trending in the right direction. Roscoe Johnson was limited again with that back injury, and DJ Moore, dealing with that lingering hip and groin problem, was also a limited participant. These are your offensive weapons, and you need them as close to 100% as possible, especially with the offense trying to find some rhythm heading into the middle stretch of the season. Rome Odunze was limited as well after missing the previous practice. Both of those guys are dealing with what coaches like to call pain management situations. They can play through it, but you can tell it's slowing them down, especially when you watch the tape. Honestly, when I look at Odunze, I think the ankle and heel issue has been affecting his route running. His burst off the line hasn't been quite the same, and his cuts look a bit more labored. That explains why his production has dipped in recent weeks. Still, the good news is that several other guys are trending up. Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift both practiced fully after being limited earlier, and that's a strong indication they'll be ready to roll on Sunday. Swift especially gives the offense more versatility. He's the kind of back who can change the momentum of a drive with one big play, and having him back healthy changes the whole dynamic. Luther Burden has also been full for 2 straight days, which means he's likely cleared concussion protocol or very close to it. If he's back, that's a big boost to the special teams as well as the offense, since he's been one of the most explosive returners on the roster. Now, switching gears to the Giants' injury report, it's not looking great for them either. Their top corner, Paulson Adebo, didn't practice and is probably out. Bo Collins is also expected to miss the game, and that's going to stretch their depth chart at receiver. Their kicker, Graham Gano, is dealing with a neck injury, which is part of pattern for them. They've had issues at that position all season. They might need to call someone up from the practice squad just to have a healthy leg on Sunday. That's not the kind of instability you want in special teams, especially when games can easily come down to a field goal or two. As for their offensive line, John Michael Schmitz, their starting center, has been limited, and if he can't go, that's a big loss for New York. Their protection has already been shaky, and losing your center just makes everything more complicated. Andrew Thomas was out for rest, so he's fine, but if Schmitz can't play, that's one matchup the Bears' defensive front has to take advantage of. Jermaine Illuminor was limited, but trending toward being back in action, which at least gives them a little help on the edges. So when you line everything up, both teams are banged up, but Chicago's defense might actually have the healthier and more complete unit heading into this week. All of this sets the stage for an important moment in the Bears' season. This is the part where consistency has to show up. Injuries, missed tackles, and special teams mistakes can't keep defining games. And while the offense has been inconsistent, the defense has flashes of being something solid when everyone is healthy. You can see the pieces coming together. Guys like Montez Sweat have started to make their presence felt again, and that's exactly what you need to see from a player the team invested heavily in. Sweat's been trending up over the past few weeks, and coaches have been taking notice. He's stacking good games together, showing up in the stat sheet, and even more importantly, showing up in the film room as a difference maker. 3 sacks, several tackles for loss, a forced fumble. It's the kind of production you want from your star edge rusher. When you start hearing his name called consistently during games, you know he's having an impact. Earlier in the year, it felt like he was invisible, but now, every week, he's making something happen. And when that energy catches on with the rest of the defensive line, it can shift the whole identity of a team. The Bears still have work to do, no doubt about it. But with some key players getting healthy and guys like Montez Sweat starting to look dominant again, there's at least a sense that this team is turning a small corner. It's the kind of stretch that could define how the rest of their season unfolds, and Bears fans everywhere are hoping that this is the moment things finally start to click. Richard Hightower has been at the center of criticism lately, and you can understand why. A year ago, his special teams unit was one of the most consistent parts of this Bears team, but this season, it's been anything but that. The coverage has been poor, the returns have lacked spark, and the mistakes have been piling up. When he met with reporters, he didn't hide from the truth. He said, obviously, that's not our best brand of football, and he took responsibility for how bad things have looked. To his credit, he didn't try to point fingers. He said both coaches and players need to look in the mirror, and that's what you want to hear, but the reality is something has to change soon. The punt team has been the lone bright spot. Torrey Taylor has been booming punts lately, pinning opponents deep and flipping the field when needed. But outside of that, the rest of the unit has been a mess. Kickoff coverage has been among the worst in the league, and the return team hasn't created much of anything. You'll get a good run back once in a while, but most of the time, they're starting drives behind the 25-yard line, which makes it so much harder for the offense to get going. Hightower addressed some of those issues, even breaking down that awkward play last week when Daniel Hardy didn't get upfield enough and ended up colliding with his own teammate. That's the kind of breakdown that kills momentum and gives free possessions to the opponent. Then there's the kicking situation. Cairo Santos has been a reliable guy for a long time, but this season, it feels different. He's still accurate from short and medium range, but his overall numbers have dipped, and that's what's concerning. He's gone from being a 90% kicker to hovering below 80%, and that's not where you want to be when your range is already limited. Hightower even admitted that the operation wasn't clean last week. On one missed kick, they were lucky to have a penalty called that wiped it away, but then they went for it on 4th down instead. On another, there was no C-gap presence, something you simply can't allow in protection. That kind of breakdown is basic stuff, and when it starts happening repeatedly, people start asking if the unit is being coached the right way. It's tricky because not every missed field goal can be pinned on the special teams coordinator. Sometimes it's the snap, sometimes the hold, and sometimes the kicker just doesn't hit it right. But when you start seeing patterns, you have to take a closer look. Santos has never had a cannon for a leg, but he's always been money inside his range. The problem is, if you're missing more than usual and you can't even attempt longer kicks, it limits your offense. You can't plan drives the same way. You can't stretch the field and trust that 3 points are automatic once you cross the 35. When you're under 80%, it changes the math, and that's not sustainable. Even his good kicks haven't looked as crisp this season. The contact on the ball doesn't seem as solid, and the trajectory has been flatter. On that block kick, it already looked like it was starting to fade left even before it got deflected. It's one of those situations where you can tell the confidence just isn't there. At this point, Santos might be on a week-to-week evaluation. If he goes out this weekend and misses a couple more, don't be surprised if the Bears make a move. Jake Moody is sitting on the practice squad waiting for a shot, and the coaching staff knows he has the stronger leg. He can hit from 55 and beyond, something Santos can't really do. Sure, Moody's accuracy isn't quite as proven, but when your current guy isn't hitting at a high clip, range becomes a deciding factor. So it's a tough call. Do you stick with the veteran who's been reliable for years and hope he snaps out of it? Or do you go with the younger guy who gives you more upside but might cost you consistency? Either way, the clock is ticking. Every missed kick magnifies the pressure, and for a team already struggling to win close games, the margin for error is razor thin. On the defensive side, things have been trending up, and a lot of that has to do with Montez Sweat. It took some time, but he's starting to look like the guy the Bears paid for. Over the past few weeks, he's been everywhere, getting sacks, forcing fumbles, knocking down passes, and setting the tone up front. Dennis Allen even mentioned it recently, saying Sweat has been performing really well across the board, not just rushing the passer, but also setting the edge in the run game. That's the kind of versatility you expect from a player making $25 million a year, and it finally feels like he's delivering. You can see it on film. He's winning one-on-one matchups, pushing the pocket, and making quarterbacks uncomfortable. The stats back it up. 3 sacks in his last 3 games for tackles for loss and a forced fumble. But beyond the numbers, there's an energy about him right now. He's playing faster, more confident, and more disruptive. Earlier in the season, it felt like he was invisible for stretches, but now his name gets called on almost every defensive drive. That's what great players do. They make their presence known even when they're not filling up the stat sheet. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Chicago is buzzing with whispers after a fiery declaration from wide receiver DJ Moore that has sent shockwaves through the Bears locker room. According to sources close to the team, Moore, known for his explosive plays and outspoken nature, reportedly told coaches in no uncertain terms, "Either you change the play calling or I'm out." The statement, first hinted at in a private team meeting, has quickly escalated into one of the hottest talking points among fans and analysts alike. Insiders suggest the tension stems from a growing frustration Moore feels with the Bears' offensive strategy. Despite his consistent performance on the field, the wideout has apparently been limited by conservative calls and predictability, prompting his bold ultimatum. Teammates describe the atmosphere as electric but tense, with some players sympathizing with Moore's desire for a more dynamic offensive approach, while others are reportedly worried about the potential fallout. The Bears' coaching staff has yet to publicly address the situation, fueling speculation. Industry insiders are debating whether Moore's demand will trigger a major shift in play calling, or if it could escalate into trade rumors if the standoff continues. While the team has a deep roster and multiple weapons at quarterback and receiver, few possess the combination of speed, hands, and field awareness that Moore brings week in and week out. That makes his potential departure, or his demands being ignored, a topic of heated conversation in Chicago sports circles. Adding to the drama, social media has exploded with reactions from fans and analysts, dissecting every word and gesture Moore has made in recent interviews and games. Some argue that the Bears must adapt to maximize the talents of their star receiver, while others insist that no single player should dictate offensive strategy. The tension is palpable, and with the season in full swing, the clock is ticking for a resolution. Whether this is a negotiating tactic, a warning shot, or the beginning of a dramatic shift in the Bears' offense, one thing is certain. The spotlight is on DJ Moore, and Chicago is watching closely. Rumors of internal friction, locker room debates, and possible changes at the top of the play-calling hierarchy continue to swirl, keeping fans on edge. If Moore truly follows through on his ultimatum, it could signal the start of one of the most talked-about controversies in recent Bears history. For now, the city waits, anxious and electrified as the saga unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.